BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Before we start this podcast, we've got a very important message for you, brought to you by the Spurs Player of the Decade.
Oh, off, mate.
Actually, the whole point of this message is meant to be that there's going to be some rude words in this podcast. You can't put more rude words at the start of a warning about rude words. It doesn't work.
Yeah, you've literally sworn at me about the message we're about to do about swearing.
Deal with it. The pod's just got off to an absolute shambolic start again.
You're a bit like Alexander the Great, aren't you, really?
Have I?
Peter Crouch has left the group.
No. But that was a really interesting Brexit conversation.
This is going to take it to a new low.
Excellent.
No one's ever put anything in my ear other than a cotton bud.
That would be on your Tinder profile if you were single.
Is your olfactory gland not being tickled by poo particles?
This podcast is the biggest con on the BBC.
We're having it off here. Welcome to another episode of That Peter Crouch podcast with me, Peter Crouch, Tom Fordyce and Chris Stark.
All right, boys.
All good, boys?
Everyone well?
Yeah, very good. How's retirement treating you, mate?
I've been busy doing bits and pieces, but...
Hold on a sec, let me stop you there. When someone says I've been busy doing bits and pieces...
Means
it generally
nothing.
Means you're not doing anything.
Not a lot.
Know, a lot of pot noodles.
Yeah.
A lot of me time kind of thing, bash 4 or 5 out in a day, just through boredom. Do you know what I mean? You don't sound busy when you say something like that.
No, exactly right. I mean, I got dragged pillow shopping the other day.
God.
That was a bad one. I haven't done that before.
You've literally never bought a pillow?
No.
Where did you start?
I haven't. Have you?
Of course I bought pillows.
I've never bought a pillow.
Haven't you? Who buys your pillows?
I don't know.
I don't know.
They're just always there, aren't
I just always had a pillow. I've never really thought about how they got there.
Yeah.
I didn't know Kylie had a range. Kylie Minogue's got a range.
Little tiny little pillows like that.
She has, and her stuff is very, very good, high quality. I can highly recommend that. It's good value as well.
What makes it so outstanding as a pillow?
Just the quality of pillow. Do you know you don't really realise how... How have we got into this? Taking this really
Pillow
seriously.
talk. It's good.
You don't realise how good bedding is until you're in it. I
agree with
the
that.
silk of it, Av goes mad for it, and then once I lie on it or get into bed, I go, "God, this is awesome." Something I don't think to go and buy. But once I've got it, and I appreciate the value of it.
It's like fresh sheets.
That's what I mean, yeah.
And you think, why have I not changed these 3 days ago? This is a joy.
So hang on, was it just pillowcases or was it bedding as well? I like the idea of you going bedding shopping.
Yeah, it's pillowcases, bedding, the whole...
So do you lie down on these beds in stores?
That's always the question, isn't it? Are you allowed to? You think, do I take my shoes off?
Well, what was handy about our one was our little boy was with us. Obviously, he's one, just about to be 2. And he got in and he tried it out for us.
Thumbs up.
He seemed happy and he was curled up for the day. So we just sort of pottered round that bed, keeping an eye on him at all times. So we just had a little kip while we looked round.
Sorry. So your child was asleep in a bed in the middle of the store whilst you...
Yeah.
He's fine there, leave him to it.
We could walk round without having much hassle.
How long did he
while
sleep for?
He just sort of had 5-10 minutes while we just sort of navigated round the bed looking at different bedding.
It's a great idea, and actually what you're doing is, as a parent, testing the limits of where... It's the limits of neglect, isn't it? You can be so far, but I think as long as your child's in eyesight, it's not neglect.
As long as you can see your child at all times, he's safe.
Yeah.
Zonal marking.
Yeah, I think so. He was happy and we were happy, so it works.
You don't lose that. That's the footballer thing, isn't it? What you've done is you've gone around the store there, but you've got one eye. Even though someone's talking at you, selling you beds, you've got one eye on the game.
Always, like I was in a sort of sweeper position. I positioned myself in a perfect position here where I could see the whole game in front of me.
Yeah.
I could see the bedding, I could see Ab at the till, and I could see my child.
Yeah, well played, mate. Well played. Retirement's going well then.
Anyway, less about my retirement. Chris, you've been put in charge of advertising. How are you getting on with this?
Absolutely smashing it.
Yeah?
Yeah, you'll be pleased
How's
to hear.
Piss the Pod getting on?
Piss the Pod has been an outrageous success of a campaign. You'd be amazed how much people have got behind this.
Is there people who can legitimately get into a women's toilet?
I've had so many females sliding into my DM over this.
Really?
But it's brilliant. There's a hashtag popping off, hashtag Piss the Pod. It's doing great guns.
Great, that's good news.
We've been contacted by so many, predominantly females, wanting to help with this as well, because obviously I have access issues in terms of getting into the ladies' toilets legitimately.
Is that your penis?
Yeah, that's a major stumbling block, actually.
Literally a stumbling block or metaphorically?
Metaphorically.
Yeah.
And literally.
You got any more updates for us?
Mate, there's so many. There's talk, and I don't know how realistic this is, of us potentially sending the pod into space.
What?
Which is very exciting. There's a guy called Dr. Chris Rose who might be able to make this happen. He got in touch. I was sort of a bit dubious about it all, but no, it looks like he might come good.
So hang on, does this involve us, the three of us, being blasted into orbit?
Well, no, I don't think we'll go to space, but there might be a way to get the podcast out there, or a T-shirt or something like that.
Is there a big market for podcasts in space?
We don't know.
Are we not better off focusing our attention on, say, woking?
Are you having a laugh? I think this world, from the outside looking in, can look a bit threatening.
Yeah.
I think it's in the world's interest that the very first thing alien life encounter, if they're looking at Earth and thinking, do you know what, we should probably take this thing down, and then they hear this podcast and they go, guys, don't worry, they're not a threat, leave them to it. They're years behind.
They're not intellectually capable of mounting anything.
It's not worth our time.
It's basically a load of Amima lads. Turn around, let's go to the next place.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So we're doing the planet a favour. Anyway,
That's
I'm gonna
hugely
look
exciting.
into it. It's hugely exciting. I'm looking into it. And we're working on becoming sleeve sponsors for some teams too.
Now I'm into this.
Right. I suggested this
This is
idea
big.
on the WhatsApp.
I like this.
I think it's good, right?
Yeah, really good.
Who are we going for, Chris? What teams have you lined up?
Well, we can't afford the main sort of front of shirt.
So we're going for like an Angry Birds arm sleeve.
But I
vibe.
think the sleeve is a better idea. And what I'm imagining is Sunday league teams, and you can get in contact with us and we might sponsor your sleeve. And then if you're playing against a team with that sleeve, I'd hope it'd be a sort of nod of respect towards them.
Can we get it in the league? Can we get a league side?
League Two?
Do you not like the idea of kind
Panorama?
of looking after
Panorama.
the lower leagues of football? Like,
Yeah, no, I'd like to. Yeah, but
You
I'd like
wanna-
to see it as well.
Ultimately, there's a cost to this. But if you are interested in us being your sleeve sponsor, we can make that happen.
I've got a few clubs in mind, but I think we should make it out there for all.
Or the other tact with this could be that we do it for referees.
I've got an update on referees. I haven't mentioned to you. Saw Dre.
Did you? No, you didn't see
Saw
Dre.
Dre.
Bum, 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 bum.
Look, Snoop Dogg.
Andre Mariner. Where was he then?
Yes, he was reffing Liverpool-Watford, doing the Liverpool game, yeah, and I was in the tunnel, and the refs arrived. I got a little tap on the shoulder, I turned round, and it was the motherfucking DRE. And he said, can I just, I've got a bone to pick with you. Oh, yeah. And I said, oh, what? And he said, can I just categorically say I'm not, people have called me Dre before, but I've categorically never introduced myself as Dre. So he just wanted me to get that on record. And
Did you believe him?
He did. He was very, very friendly. He took it all in good jest. He enjoyed the podcast. He said, obviously, I've only ever been refereed by him, and it's a different kind of vibe. But being on the other side of the fence and actually having a chat to him, he realised that he's actually a nice human.
Were you able to speak to him normally?
Yeah,
Or
he
did
was-
you naturally want to protest everything he said?
No,
Like he said something, you were like, "Fuck off, ref."
I felt like it a little bit. I didn't want to, but no, he was. I mean, he had his own clothes on and stuff.
What were they like?
Yeah,
Normal clothes or?
just like normal clothes. Yeah,
Really?
And he was coming into the game, and
Do you have headphones on?
no, he didn't
What
have
sort of
anything.
headphones?
That's the sort of thing he would do, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
He must have Beats by Dre headphones.
Well,
Come
he
on.
should
sure.
have. He should have. I feel like we've got him wrong a little bit. You know?
Do you think?
Well, he's carried that Dre thing around for a while now, and I actually genuinely believed him when he told me that he's not introduced himself as Dre before.
Because my vision of him is he's had a large night out. He leaves a couple of girls in the hotel there, like just off to ref a game. You know,
Bum, bum,
music's
bum,
blaring,
bum,
that
bum,
sort of
bum.
thing. Decent
Bum,
ride
bum,
to the
bum.
game. You know, bit of swagger about him.
One of those
Bouncy
hydraulic cars.
The funny cars
Bouncing towards Anfield.
with a massive fur coat and a cigar.
Boys, we've got to crack on with this episode. Come on, we've got to get going.
What's it about, Crouchy?
Yeah, this one is captains.
Let's do it.
Let's pile in.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
The thing about Captain Smee, Crouchy, everyone always fancies being a captain because it seems like you're the most important part of the team and that you get to do lots of exciting things. Fundamentally, you get to lift the trophy. But is it actually, for football, is it actually a bit of a rubbish job?
Trophies I get, I'd absolutely love to lift trophies all the other stuff that goes with it behind the scenes is just a bit of a ball ache, I think.
Like, what do you have to do?
Well, you get the tickets for away games, for instance. You get 2 tickets per person. You might have to borrow some and this and that. You have to go around the whole bus. How many do you need? How many do you need? You're basically sorting out tickets before a game. And I like to think about the game and what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't want to be handing tickets out on a bus. Say we're playing Watford, for instance, we're all players. You might need to borrow mine and Tom's tickets for that particular match, so you'd need 6. As you're going around, I'm the captain, I'm going around, and you say, well, I need 6 because I've got so-and-so's, I've got Tom's and Crouch's tickets, so 6 for me, and I'll have to say, oh, none for me, and then someone else needs 1 for... It just goes on and on and on.
But you've got people who sort this out, right?
The captain
do you mean at the
sorts it
Premier
out.
League level?
Premier League, every club I've ever been at, the captain will sort out the tickets.
So it's not the best job, it's the worst job. You're like a dog's body.
Oh, it's awful. It's a terrible
Hold
job.
on. Am I missing something? Why is the captain doing that? This is a professional football club, right?
He could pay someone to do it. You know, like when you go on a stag do and the lazy best man pays a company to do it.
No, but surely
Like,
this is
could a captain
kitman
not-
job, isn't it? Or
Can he
like,
not pay the kit
Yeah,
man to do
but
it?
I think if you think about it, like those tickets at times can be like gold dust, can't they? Do you know what I mean? And it's only entrusted to the captain, and that's his role. A lot of bargaining goes on a Friday about how many tickets you need and stuff like that.
That's insane because I can't even imagine how a massive football club with so much money going through it and there's so many staff. I'm thinking of all the captains in the Premier League at the moment having to go and divvy out the tickets on the bus.
Every single
sort
one,
it like
every
that.
single one will be doing that.
Does that happen
is
for England as
incredible.
well?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like John Terry, in your day, might have missed a critical part of Fabio Capello's team talk through his interpreter because he was messing about with folders.
Yeah, he's got tickets to give out. But at every club I've ever been at, the captain will be in charge of the tickets, and you'll have to go to him and tap him up. And sometimes if you're mates with the captain and there's a couple spare, you'll get the turn. If you're
easy touch.
not so matey, then...
The reason why I find this so ridiculous is I think to be a good football captain, the main job is on the pitch, right? This is how you organise people, it's how you communicate with people, how you can spur a team on when you're losing. I would say those are the main roles. But suddenly you're telling me that actually the captain's got to be half decent at admin. And
It's
for
a
me,
hell of
that
a lot.
suddenly rules out certain people that should be captain.
He's got to use spreadsheets, might have to use Excel.
Right, but they might not be the most they could be the world's best captain, but not very organised.
It's a hell of a lot of organisation. There's so many other jobs as well. If the lads want a night out or something like that, they've got to be the link between the players and the manager. So they're organising Christmas
Yeah,
parties.
They're going to be phoning the club.
Yeah, like bringing Oceana.
Got a party of 30 lads coming later.
Yeah, that has happened. I've seen people ringing Oceana.
Hi, it's John here.
I've seen it happen.
Like, I need your VIP area of Prison Watford. Like,
We've got mainly 30 lads. We haven't got any girls. We're getting 30 lads in together, or...
Yeah, but there's the fine money. So you've got to take care of the fine money every month. So I remember at Stoke, for instance, most of the clubs I've been at, the manager or the staff, he said, you just police yourselves. I want you to police yourselves. The more money you get, the more you can enjoy it at Christmas or...
So Shawcross is basically sitting on about 40 grand come Christmas.
Yeah.
He'd make a cracking bailiff, wouldn't he? Because
got
I
the
wouldn't-
look, hasn't he? Yeah.
Thing is, if I owed him money through fines, do you know what I mean? You wouldn't not pay him.
No, I mean there's a lot of pay, and then he's got to hold the money. He's got to keep it in a safe and stuff like that, and then he's got to
Keep
make
it in a
sure-
safe?
Yeah,
Because it's a lot of money, actually, isn't it?
it's a lot of money. It's not like we were paying. By the end, we were paying fines because sort of the discipline became a little bit awry, shall we say, at Stoke. Paul Lambert came in and clamped down on it big time, and he said, right, any lateness. It started with a 10% of a week's wages fine for being a couple of minutes late.
We'd be fucked on this podcast, wouldn't we?
It's a lot of money.
Are you paying the fines in cash?
Suddenly I'm getting a picture in my head of you having to say to Paul Lambert, look, I know I've been late and that's an issue, but I'm now going to be later because I've got to pop to the bank. I've got to have a meeting with the bank manager and I've got to withdraw £25,000 in cash.
No, there was some big fines. There was some big fines. But if you think about that, you've got to gather all that together, and then, the Christmas party's going to be epic.
That's true. Have you seen buskers that take card
No
payments now? Yeah, I saw this the other day. There was a busker, and you could tap your card and the thing. He was like, tap here to donate.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I quite like the idea that maybe whatever captain, John Terry, has got his own little card
Card
machine.
reader.
He's going round the changing room with his card machine. Sort of.
Contactless, all right, John? That's fine, yeah.
You talk about fines as well. How does fines work with a football club?
Yeah, we used to have a court system, and you do it on a Friday. And if you felt it's not a valid fine, then you could take it to court.
What do you mean by court?
So on a Friday before training, you'll all be round in the change room, and the captain will stand up and he'll read the fines out. He will read out every single. He'll have this page down. He'll go Crouchy, flip-flops in the shower, date, time, and then fine. Do you accept? And then I'll obviously go, that's a joke, not fuming. But usually you'd accept. But if you challenge...
In front of everyone?
Yeah, in front of all the lads. Yeah.
Can your fine go up in the same way as if you plead
double
guilty?
It, yeah, you double it. Yeah, you double. Your fine would double. If you challenge and lose...
Who's the jury?
You'd usually have a jury of like 3 or 4 lads, and changes each week. And then obviously you'll have your fine. If you contest it, you get up, you state your case, and then it goes to the jury. Very rarely do you win.
Have you contested?
A couple of times, yeah, a couple of times. The thing is with Burnley is that I found picture evidence. People will film,
what?
things like no flip-flops.
In the shower? They filmed you in the shower?
There's been filming in the shower, I've noticed. There's
What a snitch culture there is at Burnley.
Yeah, there is a bit, yeah, but it's all good. It's all good fun. It's all good fun. Keeps the buzz
It's
going.
thousands of pounds, Crouchy. It's
Yeah,
like...
it is.
Did anyone ever doctor pictures? Did you ever say, those aren't my
There has
ankles?
been, and do you know what I've seen? What I have seen is actual, the CCTV at the training ground for security reasons. I've seen people go to and get that footage.
What? To appeal?
No, usually to condemn. Because you don't have the little time in the corner, and you have
the clock's rolling.
the car pulling up, and you think you've got away with it, and then someone will play that on a Friday. You'll see them like getting out of the car and try and sneak in the back way, thinking they've got away with it, and then on a Friday, they'll say, no, I wasn't late, and then the CCTV footage would...
I put it to you, Mr. Bardsley, that is your car coming into the car park.
I know people that have actually tipped the fellas on the gate.
Or to fiddle the clock.
No, just to
switch it off.
Not mention it.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very rarely do you win in court. You're just trying to bring the discipline back, basically. So just don't do it. But there was like wearing boots in the gym, or
how much?
£250.
So on a bad day, you're dropping a lot of money because these are all...
And everyone's out to get you as well. Everyone would try and call you in and, come look at this when you got your boots on and stuff. Little things like that. I mean, it was... And leaving your top out, if it's raining when you first go out there, you got a wet top on, you take that off and you forget to bring it back in. I mean, you drop in like £200 doing that. It's like... I mean, it does build, but the captain's in charge of all of this,
So the captain doesn't get fined?
No, the captain does get fined, and then we love getting the captain as well.
Who polices the captain? The vice captain?
No, anyone. If you spot them doing anything, get him done.
How does the captain stay across?
Yeah, well, every captain I've seen has had a little logbook.
He's got a physical, like a book, like a little black book.
Fine book. This is standard stuff. I went to...
It's not.
Is it not?
No one else working any other job other than what you've been doing has a little fine book like this.
We should have. There'd be more discipline.
the workers of Great Britain could be more disciplined.
Yeah, 100%. You telling me at Radio 1, right? You walk in there, Grimshaw's late, right? Grimshaw is late. He's had a big night. You know what he's like. And he rolls in 5 minutes past. Fine him for every minute.
Greg pulls a pencil from behind his ear and starts thumbing through this little black book. Grimshaw, £10,000.
Greg James is just in charge of it. Who would be the Radio 1 skipper?
Isn't that an interesting question? Who would be the captain of every sort? Everyone listening now will have a figure in their mind about who they work with.
Who's the skipper?
Who'd be the captain, and not necessarily the best manager. The manager's different in your workplace, right?
No,
Yeah.
the captain. The
captain.
link
Oh,
between
right.
the people upstairs and the workers.
This is easy at Radio 1. It's Annie Mac.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
like she set up a WhatsApp group for all the DJs when they wanted to have a bit back at management. That
And
sort
also,
of thing.
she's a
It's-
one club girl as well. She's been there a long time.
That's what I mean. Everyone respects her.
She's Radio 1's Gary Neville.
Yeah, is that fair to say? I
I mean that in a
that's-
good way, in that she's...
Do you want her more like a Stevie G or something like that?
Yeah, because I always worry we say something on here, then we see it on Twitter as like Annie Mac is Gary Neville. It looks.
I see what you're saying now, Chris. Yeah, I do see what you're saying.
I'm not sure that's going to play well for me. Considering I play at a club.
Yeah.
But Annie Mac, easy.
Really?
What I was going to say, so lateness fine's the big one, right? That's the big money.
Well,
How can you get
big. I mean,
out of that?
it's double on a match day as well, because the match day is important. If you're late for a meeting, another one, but a match day meeting's double.
What if your car breaks down? There's no excuse?
There's a couple,
no...
like if 10 people it used to be like the M6 was chock-a-block,
Classic
whatever.
excuse.
You can't get round there. If it's more than 5, there's a strong case for an appeal.
Who would be the worst people to see on the jury? Let's say you're at Burnley and you see Ben Mee and you see Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood. Are they going to be a Hangham jury?
I think you've got a nice blend there of sanity and ruthlessness. So you'll have a little bit of Ashley Barnes would try and get you, probably. Ben Mee would be quite reasonable. But yeah, there was a few stitch-ups in there. Tarkovsky, Pope.
They're punishers, are they?
Yeah,
They're sending you down for life.
I think so, yeah. But captains in general, it just shows that people think that it's just on the pitch, but it's not. And if it was just on the pitch, I'd be up for it. I had some great captains. I mean, Sean Derry was one of my first captains. But do you know what he was good at? He was my mate, obviously. But he would dig me out in front of everyone. It was like he wasn't my mate when we played. So it was like he had no favourites. You know what I mean? Like I would go back and we'd have dinner at his house and I'd go, that's a bit harsh. And he'd go, well, that's just how I thought. That's what he was honest. Around the training ground and around the matches, he was a different person. And away from that, he was quite, he was a nice guy, but he was ruthless and he was a winner in some ways, And that's mad to see, because I played, when you look at David Beckham, the England captain, and Steven Gerrard, obviously top captains and stuff like that. But he'd be one of the best captains that I played for.
You described Annie Mac as Gary Neville earlier.
Can I just say that with a straight face?
Can I clarify that?
Yeah, I don't understand.
But I think with Gary Neville, the thing that fascinates me is, so Beckham is the glamour puss captain. He is the face of the team. He's the one who sells the England team. But was the power behind the throne actually Gary Neville? Because I can't see Bex, to be fair to him, getting his hands dirty with a fine system isn't really very Beckham, is it?
The difference when David Beckham took over as England captain was amazing. The sort of money that came in, say, by all the sponsors and things like that, it would be sort of divvied up between all the players, no matter who you are.
What do you mean? The face of his campaigns, he kept all the money, surely?
Yeah, obviously his personal campaigns, but anything that sponsored the actual England team...
You'll get money off that?
...would be shared out. And that was something that he brought in with his people and stuff.
Was he actually a good captain?
Yeah, no, I thought he was really good because what he was, not as vocal as someone like John Terry, for instance, but what he did was delivered with his performances. And, people see probably the celebrity side and stuff of him as a person now, but as a footballer, there was no one more dedicated and professional as Dave Beckham that I've seen. We talked about staying behind after training and how important that was for players. You only see a snippet of it when you're away with England because I wasn't playing on a day-to-day basis with Frank Lampard, Wayne Rooney and David Beckham. I'm just saying those three because they were the ones that stayed behind every single training session no matter what and what the weather was. Rooney used to work on his finishing. David Beckham used to take 10 free kicks. Frank Lampard would take 10 penalties. If you're a young lad coming in, if you're Theo Walcott walking into that dressing room, right, and David Beckham is out in the rain, you're sitting on the bus and he's taking free kicks and you're just sitting there waiting for him, you go like, oh, hold on a minute, they're the three players doing that. It's a different way of being a captain. It's just going, this is the way to do it. Come and, do this, basically. And I think that's what Bex was so good at. And yeah, he was, and he did have Gary Neville as a wingman. All the other side of basically giving the tickets out and stuff like that, he just palmed that off to Gary Neville.
Yeah, was Gary Neville employed by Beckham? Did Beckham, what happened?
If there was a nasty job, let's say you lot weren't happy with the FA, is Beckham going in there to speak to Adam Crozier, whoever it was, or is he just going, Gary, do us a favour, do you mind?
No, you've got it spot on here. So Gary Neville was fantastic at arguing, basically. He just enjoyed the confrontation and things like that, whereas probably Bex wasn't quite as much. So he'd send him in for any kind of meeting with the FA or hierarchy or anything that needed to be done.
Anything awkward.
So
was he like Gareth in The Office?
So right, I'm
assistant to the regional manager.
No,
nice.
Yes.
Nice.
No, he was very, very, very good at, if players wanted something, you'd send Gary Neville in to get it.
Was it Beckham that decided Gary Neville would be that role?
Well,
Did Gary
they're
Neville
just
want
Gary
to
Neville
be that
decided
role?
it, yeah.
They're just mates, aren't they? So
David, I've got a great idea.
They
You know-
were, I mean, it's an absolute perfect team. Absolutely perfect.
the yin and the
team.
yang, isn't it?
Yeah, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Can
Like,
I
for
be
instance-
assistant captain? You can be assistant to the captain.
for instance, Robbie Keane was captain of Tottenham at the time, and had enough of these boring, mundane jobs and stuff. So he basically said to Michael Dawson, "Oh, Dawson, I think, my time's coming to an end. I think maybe you could be captain of Tottenham. I'll drip feed you a couple of roles that you can sort of act, and people can see you be a captain." So he just gave him all the shit, really. You deal with the tickets, you deal with this and that. Robbie was going out on a Saturday and being captain, and Dawson was doing all the crap jobs.
Did he get the job afterwards?
Yeah, he did, and
So
he was a good captain. Michael Dawson, fantastic captain.
Oh, he strikes me as a good captain.
Yeah,
nice
great
man.
captain. Yeah, I mean, what a top man. Good player as well, He's a fantastic centre-half for Tottenham and a great captain.
So there's theories about captains, Crouchy. One of the theories is that the documentary on this, there are 3 types of captains. The first one is something called a task captain. So that depends on how well you play in your position. The second one is a motivational captain. So they improve or inspire players around them. And the third one is something called an external captain, a social leader of the group. So apparently only 2% of captains can do all 3 of those roles.
It's true. Firstly, you've got to play every single week to be captain, really, haven't you? Because you need to be on the pitch. So that means you need to be a top player. You do have to be organised, as I've proved before. There's administration tasks to be had. And then there's the motivational side of it. But I think with the motivational side of it, there's 2 sides to that. I think you can lead by example. You don't have to be a great talker or scream and shout at people, especially in this day and age. We look at captains now, if they're doing their bit on the pitch, you don't need to be the Tony Adams type captain. As much as I love, and I think Tony Adams is possibly the best captain who's ever lived, but just because he was a top player, I think a centre-half is the ideal captain position. But he was motivational in the way he spoke, and he organised and he led his back four. Like, you always felt that he would bleed for the cause, and that. I know that's a bit old school to say because captains have evolved now, and you don't have to put your head in ridiculous places where boots are flying to be a leader, but it does help a little bit, I think.
But you don't believe in goalkeepers being captains?
No, I do think that's a bit strange, but much the same as a centre forward. I'm not a big fan of a centre forward or a goalkeeper being there.
You know that 2 of the last 3 World Cup winning captains have been goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Got Lloris, you got Casillas. So they're on something there, surely.
No,
No?
there's not.
No, hang on. So, but hold on. What we're dealing with here, Tom, is a striker's mentality. You've got to remember, we've talked about this before. Strikers and goalkeepers, they're 2 opposing jobs there. So there's
Doesn't
a
like
natural
them.
sort
Doesn't
of,
like them, Chris. You're
there's a
spot on.
weirdness
Yeah.
kind of going on there anyway.
Yeah.
As a goalkeeper can't influence the game, whereas if you're a central midfield player, you're involved in every decision, and you can influence the game.
You can't be in the referee's ear, can you, as a goalkeeper?
You can't influence the game as a goalkeeper, whereas a central midfielder, be involved in every decision. As a bad tackle happens, you're in there going, "Oh, that wasn't that bad." He's mistimed that. Straight away, just putting that element of doubt in the ref's mind, and I think those little 1% things can help win a football match.
But I would put it to you, who's a better captain, a striker or a goalkeeper?
Well, that is a difficult one. And a forward is not ideal either because forwards are selfish usually.
You're too selfish to be captain.
They're not team players, which is a good part of being a striker. The best strikers are selfish and thinking about themselves a little bit more. So I think when I got the number 9 for England, me and my dad had a moment, and I was given the number 9 for the South Africa World Cup, and that was my squad number. And I said to my dad, we had a moment, and I was like, think of all the kids growing up who wanted to be number 9 for England, and I am.
God, imagine that, Shearer.
I'm the number 9 for England. And that meant far more than being a captain. But I appreciate captains, and I go like, oh my God, but they are a different person to me. I'm not that kind of person. I think you have to be similar to a manager in some ways. You have to be a little bit aloof with the players.
Bit arse-kissing?
No, not even no, because some of them have been anti that. They would criticise the manager in front of the lads. Do you
And
know
they're
what I mean?
allowed to because they're captain.
Yeah, they would bring the feeling in the camp to the management, and I think that's something that you know, I'd just rather not do that.
Would you be a good captain, Chris?
No, I don't think I would be a good captain.
Why? Who's captain of this podcast?
Well, Chris, big man, isn't it?
No, but Crouchy doesn't want to be captain.
The Queen didn't necessarily want to be the Queen. It happens, doesn't it?
So hang on. So what, you've given me stick for comparing Annie Mac to Gary Neville, and now you're comparing Crouchy to the Queen.
You compared me to the Queen and Annie Mac to Gary Neville.
Peter Crouch from the penalty spot. It's into the bottom corner.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Do you know what's the worst thing, though? I think if you're captain, and it's a phrase you often hear about in football, they've had their captaincy stripped.
Stripped of the captain.
Disgraced. You've done something. Therefore, you have to lose the captaincy. What's your fave?
What's my favourite stripping?
Of captaincy. Should you lose being the captain of your country because of a sex scandal?
What a question. You know, when I woke up this morning, right? That is not a question that I thought I would be fielding today.
How bad a sex scandal? At what point with a sex scandal is it a stripping the captaincy?
But how much does a sex scandal weigh into what happens on the pitch? Do you know what I mean? If you think about it like that, as players.
Does it come down to how the other players think about it?
Yeah, because it's about the team.
Yeah.
But then obviously England captain it's so high up, you're expected to be whiter than white.
Well, I think it's a politician role.
As you know, footballers aren't whiter than white. We are thrown into this thing where you have to be whiter than white. But none of us are the perfect people, and, far from it. So to be England captain, you get players are from tough upbringings and, council estates where they've had to be hard and there's loads of pitfalls, loads of mistakes, and then all of a sudden you work your way up to being the captain and you're supposed to be bang.
And that's it. That's that captain's role, isn't it?
Yeah.
The funny thing about this discussion, we still haven't really got to the bottom of what is that one thing that makes a captain. That's the truth of it, is that there isn't one thing.
Respect from the players, is that not the...
Surely that's the main one. And that actually, when most people lose a captaincy, it's because of a feeling amongst the rest of the team, right? And how bad must that be as a player when you lose your captaincy for someone else? And you must have seen that happen a few times where, it's been decided by a manager, someone else is going to be the captain.
Yeah, and that is a weird thing. You don't need the armband to lead. Even when John Terry, who you mentioned, was not official captain,
he was still captain.
He's still a captain. He still ran the show round the place and looked after people and was a leader on the football pitch.
Do you think then you can be a captain, right, and that can almost extend your playing career?
I know players who have made it into the professional game by being good talkers and being leaders and being a captain. It's a huge part of sport. If you can get, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're a rower and you're not the best rower in the team, but you G up the other rowers to produce things that they wouldn't normally produce without you, you're part of the team, aren't you? I mean, you are as important as the best rower in the team. I heard Jamie Carragher talking about it recently, and he said about his boy, this day and age, a lot of the young lads aren't good talkers. It's sort of, there's not many Jamie Carragher's coming through, John Terry's, like leaders, Tony Adams. You look around the Premier League now, how many Roy Keanes are there? How many Patrick Vieiras are there? There's not many leaders, captains, as we used to call them. There's good players, but they're not ranter ravers, tacklers, those kind of players. And if you can talk and you can organise, that's a string to your bow that not many of the other lads have got. And it just resonated with me because I'm thinking it's gone out of the game a little bit. But if you've got it, it's another tick.
Do you see people hustling behind a captain, like really wanting to be a captain? I don't know, word in the manager's ear, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a couple of instances. We had one player that will remain nameless. That
what club?
No, when I say remain nameless, they always try and get out of it.
Of course we do.
Yeah, it's your podcast
Because you're retired now.
Yeah, but this one's good.
It's Liverpool, you're right, Chris.
Liverpool.
We decided to call him Parched because when we were doing pre-season training, it was intense, really, really intense. After you've done your running or your training, you go over and everyone would go for a drink and you'd be like, knackered. Drink loads of water and nice roasting hot. We've done loads of work there. We'd look over and Parched would be sitting with the coaching staff.
And he's not the captain.
Not had a drink. I haven't watched him have one drink because every drink break we have, it'd be round the manager.
Ooh. Ooh.
chatting to him about tactics or, just getting the manager on side. So the nickname Parched really suited him.
Will there be players who are listening to this right now who will know Parched
Everyone
is?
knows it. I think Parched knows who Parched is.
Could you trust Parched?
yeah.
Did you see him? Once you
Parched-
saw him brown nosing a little kissy
No, he
with
was
the
a
coaches?
great lad. He was a top man. And that's the only reason he got away with it, with being so parched, was because he was a good lad and everyone liked him. But, I mean, it was intense.
The way that he's described the harsh pre-season, I'm thinking Pulis.
He never became a captain, did he?
Yes, he did.
I have no comment to make on that.
Right, Stoke captains, Chris. We're gonna look this one
No,
up.
I like the mystery of it. We will find out by the end of this series who Parched is, and they will likely be at some sort of festival at the end of it.
When Parched is handing out H2O.
If you're listening to this podcast and you know someone whose nickname is Parched, do get in contact with us.
Email in. There's so many players who are going to be buzzing off this.
Who is Parched?
We will unmask this parched fella.
I didn't want it to come to this, really. But yeah, it is funny.
I've got another captaincy question. Captains always have a captain's armband. Right, the first thing, why is it always on the left arm? Secondly, why is it still an armband? Like, think of how football has moved on and we're still stuck with a bit of stretch elastic.
I wouldn't like the captain's armband to ever go. That was one of my issues when I was captain.
For that game.
My biceps aren't rippling.
Did it slip down?
A couple of times, yeah. It's also why I'm not a captain material, really.
Did you have
Your
to
arms
double it over?
You need the... Well, I asked for a sweatband.
a hairband.
I did ask for a sweatband so I could look like I was bursting out of it. That's the pitfalls of being a captain, do you know what I mean? And the captain should have a decent bicep because if he hasn't, you're going to struggle with the armband.
Did you wear it home that day?
I did. I just roll into the bedroom with the armband. on.
Remember who's in charge?
I just put the armband on.
On her birthday. Cratchy, could you pop the armband on? Yes, I can.
What have you got on there?
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Lads, we've hit a situation where George, who's basically in charge of all this, has gone upstairs to get the drinks in. So he's left us to just talk about some of your messages that you've been sending in.
One here from Ali that mentions an accidental boner.
Right, let's crack on. Let's do this one. Go on, you read it.
Okay, it's from Ali. John Cena recently said that sometimes he gets an accidental boner in the middle of a fight.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that happens with football players. What if you're getting your leg checked in the locker room with the physio and it just happens?
Have you ever had an accidental boner whilst playing a Premier League football match?
This is the stuff that people want to know, isn't it? No, I've not. When you're so concentrated on a match, I don't think it really does. I mean, he mentioned when you're getting your leg checked by the physio. I mean, that's a different ballgame.
You've had lots of those, have you?
Well, your mind can wander when you're just on the physio bed, can't it?
So it's not the touch of the physio,
Well-
it's just that you're... Oh.
Well, no. But that has happened to me.
It's a tricky one. It doesn't mean anything. It's just one of those accidental boners that just sort of
I get it.
occasionally happens. It's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't, I could have a boner right now, boys. It doesn't mean that I want to be with either
Can I ask
of
a
you.
question
It's
of you
just, it's just sometimes
Have either of you ever had a boner during this podcast?
I don't think so, no.
But what's mad is we've got so many people listening to this podcast that probably statistically 5 or 6 of them have boners right now. And that's mad to think.
Whose voice is most likely to bring on a boner, do you think?
Oh, well, yours all day.
He knows it.
He
as well.
knows it. That's why he raised the
He
question.
knows it. He gets of all the messages we all get. Tom's like,
I love your
Tom's voice. And
It's a dulcet tone.
Dulcet
That's
tone.
it.
You've
And
not
he
realised I send those myself yet, have you?
You love it. You definitely have caused the boner.
Yeah, it's the vibration. In certain cars, with the right bass, your voice sets people off.
Is a goalkeeper more likely to have a boner on a pitch than in any other position?
Have you ever caught another player with a boner?
No, but I have. So I have felt penises on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? No, like you grab things and what? You know, like when you're sort of holding a player off and you just
You felt their penis.
a couple of times.
Yeah. But by accident.
Yeah,
right?
obviously
Yeah.
I'm not trying to feel penises, but it has. You just sort of like put your arm
Oh,
across.
penis.
Yeah, I've you do grab things and stuff.
We've got another message. I'll do this one. This is from Moses. I once walked... I once walked down a train to find Marco, go for the last name there, Arnautovic, Steve Sidwell and Crouchy around a table playing Uno. Message ends.
I'll be honest, I think Moses has got his wires crossed a little bit because when we were at Stoke, me, Steve Sidwell, Marco Arnautovic, John Walters used to play actual cards. But then if you go down the chain a little bit, Kurt Zuma, Choupo-Moting, Berahino used to play sometimes, Mam Diouf, they used to play Uno. So I feel like he's got his wires crossed a little bit where he's seen Uno and he's seen us playing cards and sort of put the two together.
Who was, because I know there was quite a big Trivial Pursuit school at Stoke.
Yeah, there was, yeah, we loved that.
What were the teams on Trivial Pursuit?
Yeah, me and Joe Allen were unrivaled. He was, the segment, the green one,
Yeah.
nature. I mean, he was fantastic at that. I'd like to think I was decent at geography. I had a bit of history in the locker.
Yeah. What was your worst one?
Pink one, arts and literature.
Yeah.
Oh, for God, they were tough. Because we didn't realise we had the Masters edition.
The Genius Edition.
Yeah, and
Whoa.
I didn't even know. I mean, some of the questions, we'd have a question and you wouldn't know if the answer was a person or an animal. Do you know what I mean? It's like it was that hard.
Is it a book or a colour?
Yeah, is it a book or a number? It could be anything. I mean, they were so hard. But there was some questions, you didn't realise the depths of knowledge that actually you have. When you do these kind of quizzes, you go, I'm not bad, I know these things. And me and Joe were decent. Jack Butland used to play with Tom Ince. The Scottish Charlie Adam and Fletch used to play together. And we got really into it. It
Was Parched any good?
good fun. I don't know who you're referring to. But yeah. What would your question
by
be
the
on
way,
Mastermind? What would you have?
Oh, I
What
did
chose
it.
the
I was on
specialised
Mastermind.
Were you?
I did it, yeah.
What did you go for?
I nearly won it as well.
Oh.
I did the life and times of Radio 1 DJ Scott Mills.
Is that not a bit?
Yeah.
Can Tom do Mastermind and his special
Yeah.
subject be Peter Crouch?
Yeah.
Would you be up for that?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, well, let's put him forward because he stands the best chance of...
I think he would get more questions right than me.
Yeah, because I'll tell you why. Because there's a general knowledge round.
He'd be good at that
And
as
actually,
well.
if you win that, it's good promo for the pod.
He's always thinking about advertising, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got his head on, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's on it.
Do I wear a Crouchy t-shirt?
Yeah. Obviously, we'll brand you up heavily.
Shirt sponsorship, like sleeve sponsorship?
No, you just focus on answering the questions. We'll deal with the rest.
We'll get you on that.
Okay. I love the way you
We
said
can.
that. Like, Crouchy, you've got any control over my...
No, we can. I'm telling you, me and you will make this happen. You're going to be like our racehorse.
Yeah.
This. We just need to keep him fit.
Yeah.
He answers the questions.
Keep reading the books.
Do you know what I mean?
reading the book.
He just concentrates on doing that. We'll prepare, everything else around it. Absolutely fine. Who wants to take the next message? Crouchy?
This is from Liam in Norwich. Can you please dedicate some time to the sheer lunacy surrounding handshakes in the modern game? What on earth is wrong with the normal handshake?
This is a great point Liam's making.
This is a huge point from Liam. Those handshakes I'm not into at all, where they do all these things. And
Yeah.
there's definitely been an evolution of the handshake in general, really. Like, if I see you now, we're going in for like a...
Semi-hug.
It's not really a hug, but sometimes I
Shoulder
just give
bump?
you a little pump of the shoulder.
It's best to be the passive partner and let the other person dictate the rhythm and you just follow on their footsteps. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. I don't think the handshake is the real minefield out there. What is the minefield is greeting a female with the one or the two kiss.
Well, I'm going to up that game. What about the 3 kiss? You ever done that?
No, I'm not a twat.
One on both cheeks and then one on the forehead.
Well, so this was the weird thing. I went to college. I'd probably shaken hands with my mum when I left to go to college. And there's some very well brought up girls at college who did a 3 kiss.
A 3
A
kiss?
3
Yeah, but
kiss.
Crouchy gets it worse because he has to deal with a lot of European players.
I'll be honest with you, I'd rather shake the person I'm meeting's hand than kiss in any way. I don't know you, you don't know me, why am I kissing you?
You can rush everything and you go for the one, as you're saying, and then you're ending up at pulling away at that point, and then it's like,
Then
oh,
she's
no,
going-
no,
she's
you're
going back in.
and then
Then
you've
you
got,
feel bad, so you go forcefully
Then
in.
she's going back.
And she's going, it's horrible.
and then you've got to do that
place
whole.
be.
Then you've got to talk it out. You've got to be like, oh, 2.
And she goes, we're doing 2, are we? And you go, yeah, we are. And you go, this is fucking awkward.
Do you always lead with the left? Do you begin on the left, go left,
No,
right?
I go in with the right cheek. If you go too deep, it looks like you're nestling in for a kiss on her neck.
Yeah, or
And then
worse
you-
comes to worse, you're shaking a hand and then
And
trying
then
to do both kisses.
Trying to do
and it's-
both. And you can end up with a weird, kind
Well,
of lips environment. It's a difficult thing to navigate.
If you're a podcast listener, do we need to establish what kiss you give someone else? Are we a 1 kiss podcast? Are we a 2-kiss podcast?
I believe we're a 1-kiss podcast.
I think we should be a point of difference. I'm proposing 4, so you know that
We'll
they
be there
listen.
all day.
That's a great idea. That's a massive idea. So what we do now, if you meet a fan of the podcast, you do 4 kisses.
Ciao, Chris.
Yeah.
You like the Peter Crouch podcast?
Yeah. Bam, bam, bam.
Oh, you can hear them.
Yeah.
You can hear them.
Don't have to make.
Okay,
flesh
so
on flesh.
yeah,
It's respect. It's,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
an
It's
element
quite
of the
mafia.
Godfather.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah. Or you go in. It's a risk sometimes, I must admit. But you go into someone, you do 2. Go for the 3rd, and if they're looking like you listen, don't you?
Yeah. 4. 4th
qualifies it.
That's big, yeah. Can I just
4-kiss
can I
podcast.
just exempt myself from this though?
No, you
Because
can't. It's your podcast.
No, I know, but I'd like the fans of the podcast to do it if that's okay. But
we
I don't
follow
want
the leader.
Okay, I think 4 kisses for everyone. If you see me, I'll kiss you on the forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I
Are
love
you-
that.
yeah?
Throwing
Like
it down.
Jesus.
Because no, that's great. For anyone that approaches, they'll either kiss your ring or a kiss on the forehead, okay?
Kiss my ring.
Are you
That'd
alright
be
with
quite
people
good,
kissing
wouldn't it?
your
You
ring?
just put a hand out. Right, then kiss
Kiss
your ring.
my ring. I'm Peter Crouch. Kiss my ring.
There you go.
Just put a hand out.
Peter.
It's like Henry VIII or something.
Hello, brother. Yeah, and they'll kiss the ring. Pope Peter, whatever it is. They're all called Peter, actually, aren't they, the popes?
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you, let's say, next time you meet Dre,
Would you let Dre kiss the ring?
kiss my ring,
It's a
Dre?
sign of respect, wouldn't it? It'd be like, finally, the ref bows down.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird.
Kiss the ring, Dre.
It's a bit.
Kiss my ring, you.
It's a little bit weird, isn't it?
But I think for now, if someone 4 kisses you, assume they're a podcast listener.
Yeah.
If you meet Croucher, you're getting 1 to the head or you're getting 1 to the ring.
Kiss Crouch's ring.
Head or ring.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
So those are the rules, head or ring. Get kissing, people. The other bit of homework we have involves our new friend Parched. If you'd like to guess who Parched is, just tweet @PeterCrouch. Use a picture of who you think it is and ask, is this Parched? As many guesses as possible, please. Honestly, feel free to hassle him. And remember, the Croucho Club is coming to BBC Sounds very soon. And if you see one of our posters up in a toilet, take a photo, post it online, but try not to get any naked bits in shot. That way we can repost them and that. And we'll be back stronger next week with a whole new episode about holidays. Hit subscribe, tell your friends. Back stronger, people.
And if you do need another BBC podcast between now and then, we can all heartily recommend the Football Daily. It's got Mark Chapman, Kelly Cates, Steve Crossman. It's got actual football content in it. Some current footballers, and unlike us, they do an episode every single day. So
There's
it's a bit
nothing,
like-
yeah, but there's no bonus in that one.
there's no accidental bonus in that one
Is there
whatsoever.
any cycling in that one, Tom?
I don't think there is.
No.
Anyway, listen, if you do fancy it, search for Football Daily on BBC Sounds.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.